culture that we have here, where success has many fathers and failure sometimes, oftentimes an orphan. You define it as a small company, but I think Workday has the potential to be, a very big company, based on who's involved and what area they're working. But each of you, where do you see, from a culture side, where do you think that we can change some of that mindset that's there in relation to encouraging people to take the risks, to take that big jump, into starting something up and trying to develop it all.
I think you're absolutely right. Craig Barrett was Craig Barrett's the previous CEO in Intel, was in firmly for the sitting last year, and then right back into town last week. And that was something that online he's commented on big black and white print he's commented on, but actually is pretty forceful on offline in particular. And his observation, and this is a guy whose grandmother is from Ireland, and in the later years of his life he wants to make his grandmother proud. That's his personal interest and observation. That's why he's turning up in Ireland right now. So it's great to have people like him who give it down and are going to show some interest. But he personally, and I'm using him as an example, as a more seasoned illustration that supports your point in my own personal opinion, which matches it. His input was the following. In order to be taken seriously for a startup in Silicon Valley, you better have 3 fails on your resume or on your CV. Because how on earth could you possibly get it right first time? And obviously you're going to learn when you get it wrong. So you're ready for the scars and whacks and thumps that are going to encourage you as you move forward. Yet in Ireland, if you are a director of a failed company, you've got 12 years to sit out before you're allowed to become director of a company again. So we've got some bureaucratic impediments, but we do have, I think, a cultural fundamental issue on this. In my opinion, I think we have a tendency to maybe revel a little in some folks' failures, and we need to get over it. It's very bad for us as a culture. We have to stop that part. The Israelis, with not dissimilar sized population to us, are somewhere north of 100 times more productive in delivering startup firms that are successful. So I'm not saying we need to become Israel culturally, but there's something about our willingness to stand and deliver on this that we've got to challenge ourselves on.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I applaud you for starting a company at the moment. I think it's brilliant. I think we need many more people like you who are prepared to take the risk that I spoke of in the presentation. I think innovation and risk-taking are just so closely aligned, and I think, just to add to what Philip said, the tolerance of failure in this country is just so low. But I think if it doesn't work out, if something doesn't work out, then we need to learn from it. I've every faith that your first venture will be a successful venture, or will be an Iona or something like that has already spun off from Trinity. I think if we can convince people in this room that innovation and risk-taking is a really good thing and it's the right thing to do, I think we'll struggle even more broadly in the population. So I think we really have to start in our alumni, in our universities, and back at ourselves. I mean, I'm inherently not a risk-taker, but I absolutely love to see this sort of thing happen. I think working with somewhere like Google, you're encouraged to take a chance every single day. Yes, I'm doing it in an enclosed environment where I have the protection, where I can fail, or I can fail gracefully, learn, and then try again. But I think anybody in the real world, as I would say, who's trying to get something off the ground, we really need to support. And I think these sort of alumni, which can then influence maybe government bodies, maybe thinking like that, I think is really important.
Yeah. Again, obviously I'm pro kind of small companies, and I think that what I think we can't achieve this by is government kind of action. And having worked in a startup for like 8 or 9 years, set the company up, it's a nightmare dealing in my experience, they're impractical, poorly structured, they're badly thought out, and they just don't evolve rapidly enough to respond to the kinds of support certainly small technology companies need. So that's kind of a given. But I think what you have in the Bay Area is just this sort of nexus of talent, certainly, of inclination to work in small companies, of availability of financing, and of kind of legal and networking infrastructure, which kind of creates this nexus that just has this incredibly fertile effect on company creation. But I think the other thing, I think the society and structurally what's happened here is we've had this period where a lot of people got rich by doing nothing, just through property, which was a dead decade for the country because it was easiest to add to your personal balance sheet by doing nothing, or by doing a zero value added activity, which was building a glass box at the back of your house or something. So that's gone, and I think there's now more of a culture of kind of celebrating, kind of recognizing entrepreneurship. I sent something the other day, one of my Google location buddies is Colin Newman, who was also co-founder around I'm here looking at my buddies in Google and kind of Dublin Airport. Colin's just standing on team the whole time. You can see his head and the sea is beside him. Colin's retired at 42 or something, but you need to kind of go and kind of need to recognize the things those guys have done. But I think it depends on not a government that pains me to say that. Government needs to kind of keep out of the way more than actively try and help.
Okay. I think we have another question from here.
Hi. Firstly, thanks a lot for the encouragement for someone like myself whose CV is kind of littered with a number of startups. I'm greatly pleased to hear that I'm not doing everything that's wrong. Just love to get your opinion on the whole e-learning side of this business. It's something that's kind of I'm new into, and it's something that I think there's a huge amount of potential in. How do you do it in your own daily work, in your own companies? And where do you think the future might be in that regard?
Before we answer that, can I just get a sense, are there other people waiting to ask questions? Or just a few, yeah. So we might not pay for it all briefly and just give an answer to everything. Yeah. Okay, so either of you guys, you learning? Anyone for you?
Well, my kids e-learn. So the one thing that makes the biggest single difference to my kids is whether they've got a good teacher or not. That's fundamental. But can a good teacher be augmented by the right e-learning environment and capability? Of course they can. Of course they can be better. And can it be augmented at home by the right tools and techniques? Of course they can. There's I'm trying to remember the name of help me the name of the site, e-learning site, Jim, that you were involved in the setup of. School, S-K-O-O-L, right? S-K-O-O-L. It's on my favourites, so I tend not to look for it. But school, for me, is a good example of an online environment. It's oriented around the existing curriculum, so it's directly relevant to what my kids are doing. So I care about it deeply for my kids. In terms of the work environment, that's virtually the only way we teach. Almost all internal courses in an 80,000 person company, we have 5,000 people here, are done online. So good for you. Keep at it.
I'm sure you can catch up with others as well afterwards.